The war came without warning. One moment the sky was clear, the next it was burning. In the middle of that chaos, one choice would change the fate of two worlds. Stay with me until the end, and if you love epic HFY sci-fi stories, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. Asterisk, he protected a hurt creature. Now the alien princess owes him everything. HFY sci-fi story, the war came without warning. One moment, the sky above Vega Colony was clear and bright. The next it was burning. Ships cut through the clouds like silver knives, dropping fire and thunder on the streets below. The ground shook with each impact. Alarms wailed. People ran. Ethan Ward had seen combat before, but nothing like this. This wasn't a battle. It was an extermination. He ducked behind the remains of a collapsed wall, scanning the chaos through the smoke. Every instinct told him to move, to get out before the next strike hit. But then, he heard it, a sound too small to belong to a soldier. A soft, frightened whimper. He turned his head and saw something huddled beneath a broken piece of metal. It was no human child. Its fur shimmered with a strange blue light, almost like it was glowing from the inside. Big eyes, wide and wet, stared at him, pleading without words. A creature. Injured, trembling, unable to run. Ethan's mind screamed at him to leave it. The battlefield was no place for mercy, but his boots moved before he could think. He knelt beside it, speaking softly even though it couldn't understand. "It's all right. I've got you." The moment he lifted the creature, the air around him changed. The glow from its body seemed to grow warmer, stronger, as if it recognized his touch. But in the distance, a new shadow emerged. Tall, armored, not human. The figure walked through the wreckage like it owned the battlefield. Long white hair fell over golden armor that shone even through the smoke. Her eyes, a deep violet, locked on Ethan, then on the small creature in his arms. It was not just any alien. This was a princess of the Lissari Dominion, and the creature he held was hers. She stopped a few steps away, her soldiers forming a silent circle behind her. The war still raged in the distance, but here, in this moment, there was only silence between them. "You," she said in a voice both cold and calm. "Why would a human risk death for one of ours?" Ethan didn't answer right away. He looked at the tiny creature clinging to him, then at the alien princess who could end his life with a single order. "Because it needed help," he finally said. "War or no war. That doesn't change." For a second, her expression didn't move. Then, something shifted in her eyes, a flicker of something he couldn't read. A distant explosion shook the ground, but neither of them moved. In that moment, something had changed. The war was still on, but so was something else. Something that would make the alien princess owe a human soldier far more than her people would ever allow. The princess did not lower her gaze. Even with the chaos of war crashing all around them, she stood as if untouched by fear. But Ethan could see something else in her eyes. Not gratitude exactly, not trust. Something sharper, more dangerous. "You should not be here, human," she said slowly, her voice like polished steel. "Your kind and mine are not allies." Ethan shifted his grip on the glowing creature. "Then I guess it's a good thing I didn't save it for politics." One of her guards, a towering Lissari warrior with a blade that shimmered like liquid silver, stepped forward, his voice like a growl. "Give the air back and leave before I—" The princess raised her hand and the guard froze. Her gaze never left Ethan. "He stays." It was such a simple command, but the air around them seemed to tighten. Ethan realized in that moment, this wasn't just a pet. This creature was important, very important. The way her soldiers reacted told him it might be worth more than a king's ransom. And now he was holding it. Distant scream tore through the palace ruins, followed by the sound of collapsing stone. The princess turned sharply toward the noise, her expression darkening. Then, To Ethan's surprise, she stepped closer, close enough that he could see faint silver patterns glowing just beneath her skin, like veins of light. "You saved something." "I could not afford to lose," she said, her tone low. "That makes you mine now." Ethan almost laughed. "Sorry, princess, I don't belong to anyone." Her lips curved, not in humor, but in something that made him uneasy. "Then perhaps you don't yet understand the rules of my world." Before he could answer, another explosion shook the ground. The ceiling above them groaned, and a massive slab of marble began to fall. Ethan instinctively pulled the creature tight against him, bracing for impact, but it never came. A golden shield of light flared around them, humming with strange energy. The princess stood with her hand outstretched, her eyes glowing brighter than the creature itself. "You will live," she said, "because I have decided it." When the dust cleared, her soldiers moved to escort them away from the collapsing palace. Ethan walked beside her, the creature still cradled in his arms, its faint purr vibrating against his chest. But his mind was racing. He wasn't just caught in the middle of an alien war now. He was inside a promise, one made silently, one that would bind him to an alien princess in ways neither of them fully understood yet. And somewhere deep down, he could feel that this was only the beginning. The safe halls of the Lisari stronghold were nothing like the battlefield. Here, the air was cool, perfumed with strange flowers that glowed faintly along the marble walls. Tall windows let in rivers of golden light, yet every shadow seemed to watch Ethan as he walked. Soldiers followed him silently, their eyes sharp, their hands never far from their weapons. The princess walked ahead, her long white hair swaying, her golden robes whispering over the polished floor. She hadn't spoken to him since they left the ruins. The only sound was the soft hum from the creature in Ethan's arms, a sound almost like singing. They entered a circular chamber, the ceiling painted with scenes of stars and battles from 1,000 years past. In the center was a pedestal carved from a single crystal, pulsing with faint light. The princess stopped before it and finally turned to him. "Put it here," she said. Ethan hesitated. "It's injured." "I'm not putting it on some." Before he could finish, the creature wriggled from his arms, hopping lightly to the pedestal. The moment its paws touched the crystal, the entire chamber lit up. Symbols blazed across the walls, alien script. Shifting and spinning, the air grew warmer, and then the light focused into a single beam above the creature's head, forming a floating star map. Ethan's eyes widened. "That's not just a pet, is it?" The princess stepped closer, her voice a low whisper. "It is the key of Mirren. It carries the location of every Lisari refuge, and every hidden weapon vault we have left in the galaxy." Ethan glanced at her, then back at the glowing creature. It blinked up at him with innocent eyes, as if it didn't understand its own importance. "And now," she continued, "because you touched it first, it has bonded to you." The soldiers in the room stiffened. A few even stepped forward, their hands on their weapons. Ethan realized what that meant. To them, he was now the lock on their most guarded secret. The princess raised a hand to stop her guards. "No one harms him, not unless I give the order." Ethan met her gaze. "And if you change your mind?" She studied him for a moment, then said something that made his chest tighten. "Then I will kill you myself and mourn you later." The chamber fell silent, save for the creature's soft purr. Ethan knew one thing for certain. Whatever this bond was, it had just painted a target on his back big enough for the entire galaxy to see. And somewhere out there, others would come for the key. Night on the Lisari homeworld was not quiet. Ethan stood on the palace balcony, looking out over towers that glowed like molten gold against the black sky. Strange constellations shimmered above him, their shapes unfamiliar. But the beauty of the view couldn't shake the feeling crawling up his spine, the sense that somewhere in the darkness, Eyes were already watching him. Behind him, the princess was silent. Her pale face, lit by the faint blue glow of this small creature, curled in her arms. Its breathing was slow, steady, but Ethan knew that glow was a beacon to anyone who knew what it was. "They will come for it," he said without turning around. "They already have," she replied. Ethan glanced at her. "Meaning?" The answer came not in words, but in sound, a faint hiss like metal sliding against stone. Then another. The balcony shadows shifted unnaturally, forming shapes that weren't there before. Figures emerged, lean, black-armored, their movements like liquid. Each wore a mask with a single glowing red eye in the center. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. Ethan had seen assassins before, and these were the kind that didn't fail twice. The princess didn't move, but the air around her began to hum faintly, her golden armor casting back the starlight. "They are from the Vorth Syndicate," she said calmly. "They will not stop until you are dead, and the key is theirs." One assassin lunged forward. Ethan reacted before thinking, pulling a dagger from the sheath on his leg. The strike came. Fast, but his arm was faster. Steel met steel, the clash ringing out over the city. Another came from the side, forcing Ethan to pivot, barely dodging a blade that hissed as it passed. Burning the stone railing dot, the princess spoke one word in her language, a sound sharp and bright. Light flared from her hand, a wave of golden energy blasting two attackers back. "Stay close to me," she commanded. Ethan didn't argue. He fought alongside her, each movement more desperate than the last. The assassins were relentless, their blades slicing the air inches from his skin. But something strange happened. Whenever one came close enough to strike him, the creature in the princess's arms would flare brighter, and the attacker would hesitate for a heartbeat too long. That single hesitation saved him more than once. When the last assassin fell, silent and unmoving, the balcony was littered with shadows that no longer breathed. Ethan's chest heaved. He looked at the princess, whose expression remained unreadable. "They were only scouts," she said. "The real hunt begins now." Ethan glanced at the glowing creature. Its big eyes stared back at him as if it knew exactly what danger they were in. Somewhere deep inside, Ethan understood. Saving it had been the easiest part. Keeping it alive would be the hardest. The palace halls were too quiet, too still. Ethan knew that kind of silence. It meant an attack was already inside. The princess moved quickly, the creature tucked securely in her arms. Its glow dimmed under a shimmering fabric that seemed to drink in light. "This way," she whispered, her golden armor traded for a dark, flexible suit. She no longer looked like a royal. She looked like a shadow. They took the servants' passages, narrow stone tunnels twisting deep beneath the palace. But halfway through, Ethan froze. He could hear it, the soft click of footsteps echoing behind them. Too measured to be servants, too quiet to be soldiers. "They're here," he said. That the princess's jaw tightened. "We have to reach the rivers before they cut us off." The tunnels spilled out into the open night, where the city lights fell away into wild alien wilderness. The air was thick with scents Ethan couldn't name, and the ground pulsed faintly with the bioluminescent glow of strange plants. The river ahead shimmered silver under the starlight. They were halfway to the water when the attack came. Figures dropped from the trees, landing without a sound. Not assassins this time, hunters, wearing bone masks carved into snarling faces. Their weapons were curved and alive, writhing with tendrils that reached for anything they touched. Ethan pushed the princess behind him, drawing his blade. First hunter charged. Ethan met him head-on, their weapons locking, the strange living metal of the enemy's blade trying to twist around his own. With a sharp kick, Ethan broke free and sent the attacker sprawling. The princess raised her hand, calling a lance of golden light, but another hunter knocked her arm aside, forcing her into hand-to-hand combat. She fought with precision, every strike calculated. But there were too many. A tendril-wrapped blade whipped toward her side. Ethan didn't think. He stepped in front of it. Pain ripped through him, hot and searing, as the tendrils tried to dig into his armor and skin. He yanked the weapon free and shoved the attacker into the river, the current dragging him away. The princess stared at him for a fraction of a second, shock flashing in her eyes before grabbing his arm. "Move!" They plunged into the river, the icy water pulling them into darkness. Hunters shouted on the bank, but none followed. The current carried them far downstream, spitting them out into a marsh lit by strange floating spores. Ethan collapsed against the bank, breathing hard, blood seeping from his side. The princess knelt beside him, her hands glowing faint gold as she pressed them to the wound. "You could have let it hit me," she said quietly. Ethan smirked despite the pain. "You'd just kill me later if you died now." For the first time. She almost smiled, almost. "Maybe," she said, "or maybe I would owe you more than I already do." The glow from her healing touch spread through him, and for a moment, the sound of the river and the faint purr of the creature in her arms felt like the only things left in the universe. But deep inside, they both knew this was only a pause. The hunters would come again. The marsh was no longer safe. By dawn, the fog had thinned, and the distant hum of engines rolled over the water like thunder. The princess stood on a small ridge, scanning the horizon with sharp, unblinking eyes. Ethan could tell by the way. Her jaw clenched. They had been found. "They are bringing warships," she said. "Not hunters this time, armies." Ethan sat on a fallen tree, the small creature in his lap. Its glow pulsed slowly, almost like a heartbeat, and he found himself absently stroking its soft fur. "You could run," he said. "You know the way out. Take it." She looked down at him. "If I leave you, they will tear the key from your dead hands. It will sing its secrets to anyone who holds it. I cannot allow that." Ethan gave a short laugh. "So I'm not staying alive for me. I'm staying alive for your war machine." Her voice softened. "It is not a war machine. It is the last hope of my people. Without the key, every Lissari refuge will fall. Millions will die." Before he could answer, the tree line split with movement, armored troops fanning out in a half circle. At their center stood a figure in black gold armor, face hidden behind a smooth mask. His voice was deep and cold. "Give us the key, princess, and we may let you live." She stepped forward, golden light beginning to spark around her hands. "You will not touch him." The masked commander's gaze shifted to Ethan. "He is nothing. A human stray who stumbled into a game far above him. I offer him mercy. Stand aside." Ethan rose slowly, the creature still in his arms. "You know, I've been called a lot of things, but no one's ever called me a stray." The commander raised a hand. His troops advanced. Ethan didn't think. He moved. With one swift motion, he handed the creature to the princess and stepped into the path of the soldiers. Blades rose, rifles hummed. He had no shield, no armor worth speaking of. Just the stubborn refusal to let anyone else pay his debts for him. The first strike came, but it never landed. The creature's glow burst into blinding brilliance, wrapping around Ethan like a living shield. Energy rippled outward in a wave that threw the soldiers back, their weapons falling silent. The masked commander staggered, his armor flickering with strange distortions. Ethan looked down. The glow was seeping into him, burning and cold all at once, filling his veins with something that felt like lightning. The princess's voice cut through the chaos. "It has chosen." Her golden light merged with the creature's glow, and the force between them roared like a star being born. The soldiers broke, retreating into the trees, their commander disappearing into the smoke. When it was over, the creature was still, its glow dimmed, breathing soft and slow. Ethan felt weak, but still standing. The princess approached him, her Eyes uncharacteristically warm. "You could have run," she said. "You could have given it to me and walked away, but you didn't." Ethan shrugged. "Guess I'm not very good at walking away." She stepped closer, close enough for her. Voice to drop into something only he could hear. "The debt between us is gone, but the bond, that will never break." Ethan glanced at the creature in her arms, then at her. "What now?" The princess's lips curved into something that was not quite a smile. "Now human. You are no longer just a stray. You are part of my house. And the galaxy will learn what that means." Somewhere far above, the first light of a new sun broke over the alien sky. And Ethan knew, whatever war was coming next, he wasn't just a bystander anymore. He was in it. All the way.